for at 7 o'clock. And I'll start with roll call to my left with Councilman Warrington.
Mike Warrington, City Council Member.
Joe Katie, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Homer, City Council Member.
Bill Hamilton, City Council Member.
Tim Berry, City Council Member.
Bob Buchanan, police chief.
Rick Lance, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
David Westfall, Planning and Zoning Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Matt Kane, Finance Director.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Dana Engstrom, City Clerk.
Jolene Graham, Assistant City Administrator.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right, and this time we will invite John Langley, retired pastor with East Point Church, to come and do the invocation. And before you start, sir, I'd like to tell you thank you for your 8 years of service to the police and fire chaplain, and we appreciate all you've done for us, and God bless you, sir.
Well, we appreciate Andover. Let's pray. Father, there are moments in life, and especially each year, that we get a chance to remember what peace is like. We get a chance to remember what grace is like. We get a chance to know that God has decided to reconcile with us through his son, Jesus. And he is giving each of us every opportunity to come to him, to give our lives up to him, and give ourselves to you, Father. What we ask for is that this month be spent in searching for the grace that is abundant. We ask you for opportunity to encourage each other with goodness, with hope, with encouragement, with strength. And Father, I pray that as our council watches over our city, that they will too be looking to bring peace to our people. The pathway is there, Father, and we ask you for each of us to follow it diligently and to look to reconcile in every case. Father, at this time, I would like to tell you thank you for the Coach Tuttle and his team, for the blessing that they received in being state champions. We ask you for your blessings on each individual. We ask you for healing for those that have been injured. We ask you to watch over them and to really give them a great feeling of accomplishment in what they have done. May you bless them. Bless us tonight, Father, with peace, with grace, and with the intention of being reconciled one to another. We ask you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time I will open the floor for a public forum. If you have anything you'd like to say, state your name and your address and keep it short. No takers. Public forum's closed. Acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Oh, looky here. Milestone awards. And Rick's gonna do some presentation on this.
Trevor, if you'd like to go ahead and come on up. Stand right there, that's fine. So Trevor Unruh began his career with the city of Andover in October 2009 as a custodian. He worked in that role for a period of time before applying for an opening as a maintenance technician at the Parks Department. After approximately 3 years in that position, he transitioned to landscape technician role, where he has been with us for just over a year. Trevor has effectively worked all three key areas of the Park Department. This comprehensive experience gives him a unique perspective that is not always apparent to others on the team. In addition to his professional skills, Trevor is a kind and caring individual who truly believes in doing what's right. He possesses a strong moral compass, which I deeply admire. Trevor embodies integrity and fairness in his work and interactions. On behalf of the city and its citizens, it's my honor to recognize Trevor and present him with his 10-year service award. Okay, that's why I didn't have it.
Sure. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me in this just career. I think of it as a career. That's how I see it. So I'm in it for the long haul. I appreciate all your guys' help. This is kind of like when I first started, I got my foot in the door. So just appreciate you giving me that opportunity and look forward to growing with you guys for the city.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor.
Vern, if you'd like to come on up. Vern joined the city of Andover in November of 2005 after working for years in two different Kansas City metro area street departments. He brought a wealth of experience with him, which has been greatly beneficial to our city. In September of 2010, Vern was promoted to assistant manager. Following retirement of Bill Breich, Vern served as the interim manager. After a thorough selection process, he was officially chosen as the next manager in 2020. Vern has been instrumental in advancing training and cross-training initiatives within the department, demonstrating his understanding of the importance of developing talent from within. I have personally observed Vern's growth as the street department manager. His proactive approach to winter maintenance has significantly improved our city's ability to respond to inclement weather. Speaking about winter storm response and maintenance city administrator and maintenance, your city administrator, once did a ride along with Vern. She's smiling. She knows where I'm going. When Vern told me how long she'd rode with him, I was pretty impressed. It's hard to put up with your boss backseat driving for hours. Jenny did tell me how impressed she was with all that's going on while plowing and managing the operation of a crew at the same time. Impressive, and I think changed her perspective of the job. One remarkable example of Vern's dedication to the city is his residence occurred after the tornado in April of 22. Despite working tirelessly during his response, I had to strongly convince Vern to take some time off. He was determined to work around the clock and assist those in need. Vern also collaborated with multiple outside agencies during the debris removal process, ensuring it was completed much quicker than some had expected. Vern has been a driving force behind the transmission of how the city manages its equipment. It's common for cities to operate equipment until it fails before considering replacement. Vern, however, has implemented a more strategic approach, prioritizing equipment evaluation based on condition and necessity. This planning has allowed us to optimize replacement cycles, improve return on investment, and reduce repair and operational costs, maximizing equipment uptime. While there is still progress to be made, significant strides have been achieved in upgrading the street department's equipment through a budgeted and planned approach. Vern recently volunteered to help spearhead the startup of an equipment rodeo for the Kansas APWA chapter. Through his experience with the KC Metro chapter, he has seen the value of these skill competitions with its member organizations. This year, he will be working with a committee to try and have one in place by April. It's pretty aggressive at the April spring conference. This is another example of Vern being Vern and thinking that he would like to have an opportunity for his team to possibly compete in a chapter event. And since the local chapter has not been having an equipment rodeo, he's taken initiative to ask about starting one. Now he just needs to make sure Andover not only competes, but wins in the event. On behalf of the city and its citizens, it's my honor to recognize Vern and present him with the 15-year service award.
Vern.
No speech? All right. Number 8.1 proclamation Andover Central High School football team, and Councilman Berry is going to read this.
So if you gentlemen want to come stand up here, Megan will direct all the football players and Coach Tuttle. The proclamation goes, whereas Andover Central Jaguars became the 2024 4A Kansas State champions on Friday, November 29th, 2024, and whereas the Andover Central High School Jaguars football team faced Bishop Miege in a championship game in the Welch Stadium at Emporia State University, and whereas the Andover Central High School Jaguars outscored the Bishop Miege Stags by a score of 49-42, and whereas this is the first time in the school's 22-year history that the Jaguars have won a state football championship, and whereas the football team is coached by Derek Tuttle, and whereas Coach Tuttle said, it's a lot of emotions. The kids played with a ton of energy today, and I'm just so very happy to have such a great group to work with. We've had seniors that provided tremendous leadership for us down the stretch here in the playoffs and going into Friday night's game. I can't say enough about these guys and my assistant coaches who do such a tremendous job of putting a game plan together. So happy for the whole crew. Therefore, I, Tim Berry, with the City Council assembled in regular session on the 10th day of December 2024, hereby proclaim December 11th, Andover Central High School Football Championship Day. Congratulations, guys.
Good job, fellas. If you can't see the camera, it can't see you.
And Councilmember Warrington has some pens for you guys.
What a great example of bringing Andover together too. I mean, there were signs out that Saturday, Tim, when we came to see the game. Tim and I know, took the drive up there and drove. Is 66? Is he? I don't know what he looks like. I just know his number. He's not here. So I believe his girlfriend got done with rehearsal for the Nutcracker, drove up, sat in front of us, watched the game, and then drove back and performed in the Nutcracker that night. So just what a great job of bringing the community together. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah. Good job, guys. You can put them on, wear them at school, look cool. You know, I was trying to beat you guys, you know, because you guys did the school board last night, didn't you? Yeah, I know. I tried to rush this through because we're much cooler here in Andover. So,
hey, thank you very much for having us. We're very humbled and grateful. And the guys and the coaches all thought it was super cool when we had the police escort not only out of town but coming back in town. So police and fire, thank you to you guys. That was awesome. I'm not saying we met all the bus code regulations. We're very excited, very pleased that we can bring home the championship day.
What was it? What was it, fellas? There you go. There you go.
Good job.
Good job, fellas.
Congratulations.
Quite a few. So they need 13 more. Just in case you couldn't do the math.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
See you, Derek.
All right. 9.1 through 9.10 consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.10 as presented.
Second, Hamilton.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 2025 renewal for workers' compensation and property general liability. And Jenny's going to talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Lance Spence with USI, your broker for the coverages outlined in the header just a minute ago, is here tonight to speak to you about the renewal. And in the memo, we do outline that workers' compensation is a legal requirement in the state of Kansas. So that one is one that you must have. Liability on all your vehicles is a requirement. And then the reason that we insure the rest of the liability and the property, well, I think you all are keenly aware of why we insure that properties, because sometimes you need that, like we did 2 years ago. But the rest of that is all optional. But what it does is reduce our exposures, if you will, for a myriad of things, everything from lawsuits and legal protections through tornado or risk exposures. So I'll turn it over to Lance to talk to you about our renewal.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Again, as Jenny pointed out, and as you've seen in the executive summary that was provided in your packet, obviously the workers' compensation was a bit of a challenge for the renewal this year. There are a couple of factors that played into that. One is it's a product of the premium that we've paid over a snapshot or a period of 3 years, as well as the losses that have been incurred. Unfortunately, in 2021 to 22 policy term, we had some pretty substantial losses, and that's impacting the experience mod that you see. That experience mod had a direct correlation of about 20% on the increase in the premium. And then obviously you've had some approved compensation increases over the last year as well, which also plays into that equation. The good news is, as we analyze the experience mod for the 2026 term, that mod should drop back down probably by 30 to 40%. So we'll see a direct impact and reduction in premium at this time next year. So we're kind of stuck with it for 1 year, unfortunately. But the good thing is that the trends are looking pretty good, and I think we'll be able to control that cost going forward. And we'll be working with the city as well on, from a risk management perspective, as well as safety programming, some of those things. So hopefully we can be a little more proactive in controlling loss and injury to our employees. So that's it's the most controllable exposure that the city has from an insurance perspective. And we'll be working closely with all groups to make sure that we're having the best impact we can on that. As I spoke back in the spring when we renewed in April, property, as you all know, both on a personal level as well as on a commercial level, continues to be a huge challenge for the insurance marketplace. There's no way around it. We all saw the hurricane season that we saw and had in the Gulf this year. That impacts all rates across the board. There's going to be, tens of billions of dollars in losses in insurance claims this year. So, and that's a trend that we've continued to see increase too. So property does remain a challenge. We live in Kansas, and as we all know, we are highly impacted by the wind and the hail. And we kind of get stuck with the rating to those exposures. So it's one thing that we do have to kind of contend with. In addition to that, we've had some valuation increases. I think we've talked about that as well before. We have seen construction costs start to stabilize, so that's good. We still see increases in labor costing when it comes to construction, but that we did have some valuation increases, as you see there as well. And we brought the new Andover 13th Street Park on, and we had some additional values out there that we have to insure. So it kind of all plays together, but that's part of why we see the increase on the property. General liability, it's kind of a continued trend that we see, especially with public entities. We still live in a very litigious and legal environment. We did have, there have been a couple losses that have come up. I think we had a fairly sizable loss this year on the general liability. So again, that plays into the equation of how the insurance companies rate us for the renewal. Outside of that, as you can kind of see, pretty stable and pretty favorable renewal. If we can get control of property rates, hopefully, knock on wood, and get some more capacity in the marketplace, hopefully we can start to control that cost a little bit as well. So that's kind of a quick overview of what we're seeing in the renewal offer from EMC this year. But I will stand for any other questions that you may have and be happy to address those.
Anyone? No?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the 2025 workers' compensation property and liability insurance policies with EMC and VFIS as outlined in the amount of $493,575.
Second, O'Kadis.
Any further questions or discussion?
I guess I have one, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know, what point do we start being self-insured? I know we start self-insuring for the healthcare for the employees.
Right.
I know we're probably not anywhere close, but at what point do we start thinking about being more self-insured and relying on insurance?
In the commercial marketplace, just kind of as a rule of thumb, the premium range to start considering self-insurance is around $1 million a year annual premium. There are administrative costs. There is excess insurance placement that you have to assume when you go self-insured. So there's a lot of those components that play into it. But I'd say rule of thumb, about $1 million.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Lance.
much. You bet. Thank you.
11-1, small track plat, train enterprise edition. And David's going to talk to us tonight about that.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much. Just as a brief overview, in the past months for you, this property was annexed into the city of Andover. It was rezoned as MXI and is here before you tonight as a small tract plat. The proposed final plat would create one lot, roughly 3.8 acres in size. It would only receive access control from Southwest Meadowlark Road and from Southwest Fairfax Street. There would be no access on the property along US 54. It is been rezoned to the mixed industrial commercial district, and the project will have no public improvements to be made. If you have any further questions, an agent of the owner is here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer anything you might have as well.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
David, what is the new business development or what is the new purpose of this land in the annexation?
So this intended use for the owner would be to be a kind of a storefront for a vehicle transportation business.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the dedications of land on the Train Enterprise Small Tract Plat as approved by the Planning Commission.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. 12-1, Prairie Creek 7th Edition amended developers agreement revised sanitary sewer petition amended resolutions of advisability. Jolene's going to talk to us about that.
That's a
a
I got it all out,
mouthful.
didn't I?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm bringing to you a revised petition for the sanitary sewer for Prairie Creek 7th Edition. It was bid on November 5th, and the cost came in over the engineer's estimate. You'll also note in a subsequent item that the water also came in higher than the engineer's estimate. However, there was room in the original petition's estimate and contingency line item to cover the overage. So before you is a revised sewer petition, as the mayor noted. I do also want to bring your attention to the developers agreement. When the original petition was brought to you and the developers agreement, it was in July before you had passed the policy with the new letter of credit policy. And so they did take advantage at this point in time to reduce their letters of credit required as well. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the revised petition for sanitary sewer improvements, approve the developers agreement, and adopt amending resolution of advisability related to the Prairie Creek 7th Edition.
Anyone?
Second, O'Kadis.
So they did get the opportunity, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble focusing. So they did get the opportunity to take advantage of the,
Yes.
that's cool.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or
Mr. Mayor, I have one just quick question.
Yes, sir.
Did the engineer go back over his estimate to make sure that he wasn't just high or something was off somewhere? Did they go back and look at theirs as well?
Well, anytime the bids come in over the estimate, they always take a look at why. I will tell you, this particular developer holds the engineering firm a little tighter on their petitions. There's some history that goes back to another community and a reason for that, which I don't want to get into here necessarily. But so Prairie Creek's petitions are always a little bit tighter than maybe some of the others on the petitions. However, it was competitive bid. We only did get 2 bids at the time, and that's all that we wanted to bid in the market. There was a fair amount of plan holders, but no, there wasn't any conversation of what particularly drove it over. It was just the market at the time.
Yeah, and I meant under, the engineer estimate was under.
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry, that they were over, the bids were over the engineer's estimate.
Were the 2 estimates comparable?
No, the higher bid was considerably higher we bid 2 that day. I'm trying to remember, on one of them, it was quite a bit higher. On the bid tab on this one,
The
it
sanitary.
was pretty good spread on these two bids.
Okay, all right, yeah. I was just curious if they had looked at theirs as well, just to make sure that they weren't just, something was tweaked somewhere.
No, it was, there's about a $50,000 spread, just doing some quick math on the sewer and on the total bids. It was almost $100,000 difference on a $500,000 job. So there was the second high bid was quite a bit higher than the low bid.
All right, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 12-2 Prairie Creek 7th edition amended work ordinance. Jolene's going to talk to us about this as well.
Mayor and council, this is just the associated work ordinance that is required to accompany any, to allow for the work to be done per the petition.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an amending ordinance authorizing the construction of the certain internal improvements to the Prairie Creek 7th edition.
Second, Hamilton.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 12-3 bid award water and sewer Prairie Creek Edition 7th phase. And Rick will talk to us about this.
I think we probably covered most of this, other than Meese was the low bidder. They are currently working on one job for us and have done quite a bit of work for us in the city of Andover. And staff would recommend the award of the low bid.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Rick, when you open the bid process, how many invites do you send out?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. It's quite a bit. There's probably 7 or 8 contractors in the area that get these invites, and then it's also posted on our website.
Thank you.
There was several plan holders on this that just opted not to bid just because the workload out there at the time.
Sorry, what's a plan holder?
Somebody that's requested the plans from the engineer, has them, and is somebody's a potential bidder that they just elected not to bid.
Interesting. How many of those were there, you said?
I
Handful?
don't have the number off. I mean, because this was delayed for a while, I've kind of forgot that. But I want to say there was at least 5, maybe more.
Okay.
Because we did have that conversation while there was only 2.
And that's pretty typical on a lot of jobs. You'll have a lot of people have the plans and specifications, and then you'll have just a few that actually bid on it. And it all depends on their workload, what's actually entailed into it, and if they want to, be able to, risk bidding on it. So.
You have to remember they're always trying to make sure they can meet the commitment that the contract has when they got to get to build this. And if their workload is higher, then their pricing is going to reflect that too. And sometimes they know their pricing is going to reflect it so much that they just don't even take the time and effort and go through the expense of making the bid.
And then also to bid, they have to be a member of something with the state of Kansas, right?
You have to be on the pre-qualified bidders list for the state of Kansas. Yes.
Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Meese Construction Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas, in the amount of $507,804 and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for water and sewer Prairie Creek Addition 7th Phase.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Central Park Lodge bid package A1 utilities and site preparation. Daniel's going to talk to us tonight.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have our next step to take here in the lodge reconstruction process. This evening, we are bringing you a preliminary package similar to what we did at 13th Street Sports Park by ordering the Lucky Climber early due to its long lead time. Obviously, you know where the goal is to get this facility up and running by June of the 2025 season. And we've been working with Key Construction on moving forward with earthwork and underground site utility preparation and a couple relocations. So we have for you today essentially a GMAX 1. And the couple of the lines that make up this total did come in slightly under the project control budget, which is good news to start. And we have Scott Brombrake here this evening from Key. If you have more detailed questions about the package under your consideration, but I'll leave it there for myself or Scott to address those for you now.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I have just one. Daniel or Scott can answer. Are we, and I ask this every time, are we concerned that it is that much low of a bid? I mean, you look at these bids, I mean, it's a, you know, it's not a small number that they're off. So are we concerned about quality of work, or
Which one are you referring to?
well, I mean, we could start with number one here, that, you know, was it
The site utilities?
yeah, the site utilities. I mean, it's 83.95 and then 131. I mean, that's a big span.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what Rick was referring to earlier, just if people are busy, their bids reflect that. We're pretty confident in that low number. We've scoped them out, went through it all. I mean, we've done the due diligence, obviously, before we present that, you know, we've done a lot of work with these guys in the past. So I think the higher number just reflects, hey, we're busy. So if we're going to do it, we're going to make a couple extra bucks.
Okay. So same way with like earthwork.
And earthwork, and we just got a new number today. So we're bidding, this was an early release for these items. We're bidding the building as we speak.
Okay.
I got a new dirt number today. Obviously, it was too late to get in here, but it falls within those other two numbers, which closes that gap, because that's a pretty substantial gap on the earthwork package.
So I guess my fear, and I can't remember, it's been so long since we've done, you know, it's been a couple meetings ago. Will they come back with change orders? Rick or Daniel, or, I mean, if we're bidding 63,000 for dirt work for all this right here, and then they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't bid enough. I mean,
So they will have to do what's in the scope of the work for the price they've dictated. They can't come back and say, well, we just didn't understand how much work it was going to be and we need more. Now, if you're always open to change orders for unforeseen conditions
Correct.
or things like that. So the answer is they might come back, but not because they were low bid.
okay. I guess that's, we've had this conversation many times. I mean, one is 117 grand and the one we're choosing is 63. I mean, that's half. So.
And I would also take the time to mention that as a construction manager, Key is going to be the ones that are ultimately the ones to have to hold the subcontractors' feet to the fire to perform.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
To kind of go on to that point that you were making, Tim. I mean, you have your numbers over here, and your budgets are blank. Are you providing your own budget line item to make sure that you're not?
On a different,
Not-
that's just our, where we compare. So that was an earlier version. This package was put together a couple weeks ago.
So your estimating crew
We do,
has,
correct. We
Yeah.
have our own budgets that we're working towards. They're just across all the spreadsheets. They're not on all the separate spreadsheets.
I was just making sure you were comparing that
Oh,
to with
100%.
these.
Yeah.
And showing it on these.
And it goes back to the control budget, so we can absolutely add that on those bid tabs for future reference. That's very easy.
I just want to make sure, I mean, and you're going to see it before you present it.
Oh, 100%.
But just, want to make sure that you aren't at 50.
Oh,
Or,
no, no.
Or you were thinking it was double that,
No, so we have a control budget that I think may or may not be included in that shows earthwork and utilities and all those items broken out. This is just where we compare the actual bidders themselves.
Right.
And then we take that 63,000 versus the 65 or whatever we had in our budget to go, yep, we're good. We saved a couple grand, or we went a little over there, and
Yeah.
why?
Okay.
So
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the bids from the lowest qualified bidders as presented and accept the contract amendment, including the guaranteed maximum price proposal from Key Construction for the Central Park Lodge Package A.1 in the amount of $167,485.32, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement with Key Construction.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
out of curiosity, did any of these guys help with the Heritage Project?
yes. So the utility guy did some streets. He worked on the streetscapes project.
Okay,
The earthwork guy did not.
okay. Thank
But
you, sir.
We've done a bunch of other stuff with them. So.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Scott.
Thank
you. 14-1, resolution for selecting electricity provider and annex notice. And David, right?
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much. The good news is I only have one of these for you this evening instead of three like we usually do. So just as a reminder for the progress of this case, the property was annexed into the city in the past months. We sent a notification to the existing energy provider, which was Evergy, and your action tonight would just be selecting that provider, which in this case, staff recommends to remain to be Evergy. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution electing Evergy Incorporated as the electricity provider for the Pratt property and providing notice of annexation to Evergy Incorporated.
Second, Hamilton.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. ASM Global Budget Amendment. Jenny's going to talk to us about this.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this item was discussed at your workshop last night. And last night, Kat Ewing, who is the Director of Capitol Federal Amphitheater, was present. She is in attendance again tonight, as well as AJ Valesky, the General Manager of Regional Manager for ASM, but I think he stepped out of the room. So if you've got any specific questions, but the action before you tonight would include amending the 2024 ASM global budget for the Capitol Federal Amphitheater. It would adjust that amount by an additional, I'm going to pull it up so I've got the number in front of me. Da, 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 da. 30, where's my eyes? $36,214. Be happy to answer any questions, and I see that AJ's reappeared, so either one of them would be happy to answer your questions as well.
Any questions?
Jenny, on that, I know with how they budget with the rolling, it's a shortfall of projected through 2024. Is there potential that once the actuals come in through the end of December, that number could change once we have actuals?
I
for
would like to direct that to them.
Good evening, Council. AJ Bolesky with ASM Global. Answer to that question, when we did the October financials, we made sure that it was on a worst case scenario. So we expect that to not exceed the adjusted number.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the amended budget for the operation of the Capitol Federal Amphitheater for 2024.
Second, O'Kadis.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
16-1, boundary declaration resolution, and Jolene's going to speak with us about this.
Good evening again. Kansas Statute 12517 requires that cities declare their boundaries in years when you have annexed land. In 2024, the city of Andover approved, let me double check my count, 9 separate annexation cases. And if you have any questions about those separate annexation questions, I'm going to kindly refer you to Les, who prepared them, along with, I believe, David as well was part of that. Also in your packet, and I believe that's showing on the screen above you, is a map prepared by our city engineer in terms of where the boundary lays.
Any
Mr.
question?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Jolene, you see 9 on this list in front of us for the ordinances. I thought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 on here.
Yeah, you're correct. It's 8. I couldn't count that fast.
Oh. And then Les, I asked you earlier before the meeting, but the Penner property that we annexed, or commonly referred to as the Penner property, is not on the description on the right side, but that falls in here somewhere. Not on the description in the summary, though.
Yeah, it's in here.
Penner was on the previous year's annexation.
It was.
Okay.
It doesn't show
It was
in
last year.
24. It hasn't been developed yet. It's been zoned. It's in the plating process, but the annexation was a 23.
10-4. Thank you.
So to more fully answer your question, it's in the body of that long description, not called out as a specific ordinance.
Yeah, I don't want to pretend like I read that whole thing. That was a lot of legal stuff
I read everything
in there,
tittle, man.
and you need a really big degree to understand a lot of that.
Can we ask JT to read it for us tonight?
No.
I bet you would. I bet you would. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution declaring the legal boundaries of the city of Andover as of December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Thought Jody was going to have a coming part. Any further questions or discussion?
I have one quick question, Mr. Mayor, and it may go to Les or somebody, but I'm assuming this is the McCandless area there at US 54 and what?
Mhm.
It's just that one little section that's not. Are we working on that at any time, or is that something we can?
That's the one where part of the property butts up against the
Yeah.
YMCA or whatever the building is back there. We're
Sorry,
playing-
Les, I guess I should have.
We're playing Stump Les Mangus tonight.
Yeah. So it's just that little U right, on 54 and I think it's the McCandless part.
It
there.
is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yes, that's on David's list.
Okay. I guess I should ask
McCandless
David. Sorry.
Street to annex. because it's a unilateral annexation, we have to prepare that lengthy annexation report.
I just know that's like the only section, I mean, there's a lot, but that's like the one part of the city boundary that doesn't square up, so.
We've got 3 subdivisions on our list to prepare those reports for.
Now, isn't that one that either doesn't have water or doesn't have sewer?
It actually has both. It has rural water 5
Okay.
and Andover sewer provided through a county sewer district.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. 17/1/2025 calendar meeting, council meeting calendar, and Dana's gonna talk to it.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The proposed 2025 calendar of City Council meeting dates before you tonight for consideration includes a few changes worth noting. There will be 3 budget workshops in 2025, all held on Monday nights. These meetings are recommended to be held on April 28th, June 23rd, and June 30th. These are in place of the Saturday retreat, as done in the past. There was also 1 additional workshop added on September 8th. 2 of the additional workshop meetings land in the 5 Tuesday month, which is April and September, as well as 1 in June, a 5 Monday month. Staff believes this calendar represents feedback received following this year's budget process. And this concludes my presentation if you have any questions.
So Jenny, when do we expect to, because we normally do it in June, which one of these workshops are we going to be speaking about budgets then?
Your April 28th meeting will be about the non-general fund or non-mill levy items. So those will be things like utility funds that shouldn't change. We won't be waiting on evaluation for those conversations. And then both June 23 and June 30, and we should have that final valuation. It's supposed to be to us always by June 15th. That falls on a Sunday, so it's likely to come sometime during the week of the 9th.
Okay, thank you.
You like that better, council, having it spread out?
Yeah, I do.
Rather than the Saturday, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, why don't we call them regular workshops, I guess?
You think they'll know?
I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
I
just,
don't,
it's just,
I mean, they still really are, right?
yeah, I think that's what we're calling them.
I think we need more workshops anyway. I mean, Jenny and I have chatted about that. I think, we're starting to grow a lot more, and Jenny is trying to shove so much into the once a month workshop that our workshops are getting longer, and it's making Jody mad because it's past her bedtime. So, so I like the idea of actually being able to do, a third or a second workshop in any given month. So
I think I like it better than doing the weekend.
yeah.
Sleep in, what do you call it? Lock-ins? I don't want the budget lock-in anymore. Will we
Can we do overnight?
will we still meet with like department heads and still do that? And then are we going to, maybe I'm jumping the gun because this is just the calendar, but are we still going to then, kind of present it like we did this last year? Or has there been any thoughts to that?
I don't think we have any plans to change the way we assign a council member to work with department heads or all that seemed good. It was mostly just about the whole Saturdays are precious in the summer and it's hard to get everybody there, both on your staff and your council side. So it was really more about that than anything else. But I think process wise, we'll do everything largely the same, except for we'll talk about your non-mill levy rate budgets earlier in the year because we can knock those out with some forecasting.
And Matt will bring cinnamon rolls to every one of
And
those.
I was going to say, we'll get 2 more meals.
With extra butter.
And then I know in the past Mike's mentioned it, but did we take into account spring break in March? Is that going to be the week of 17th through the 21st? Does anyone know?
I do actually.
like
Spring
these.
break will be March 14th through the 23rd, so it
Yeah.
does not land.
Yeah, it's good that week.
Good job.
Good job, Dana. Look at you, huh?
Johnny. on the
When's
spot.
Easter?
Anyone else?
Is it, okay, is it 420?
So if we're all good, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
move to approve the 2025 city council meeting calendar as presented.
Second,
Barry.
O'Katys.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, who got it?
How's
Okay.
O'Katys?
Yeah, there it is. And if you did notice that they did put the addresses on there of where the workshops will be and where they were and then they will be. So if you notice that or not, under the colors at the very top.
Oh, yeah, that's.
So police station,
Mhm.
and then it'll turn a different color and it'll be at the new lodge.
Did you do that, Jana? You're overachiever, aren't you?
The colors look the same to me. so,
All right.
yeah.
Can I got a first and a second.
Yes, you did.
Darn it.
Further discussion.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Member items, I'm going to start tonight. I want to say happy anniversary to Daniel and what's her name? Megan.
What's her name?
I usually have something smart like say like sympathy for one or the other, but y'all are both good people, so I'd have nothing. But Daniel, if you want to speak to it, you're welcome to.
He's sitting away from her.
All right. Mike, you got anything?
Yes. Tomorrow is a KDOT passenger rail service Zoom virtual meeting. It's at 1:00. I sent it to Jenny and Les if they wanted to join that. But if there anyone else who would like to have that link, I'll email it to you. But they're just going to go over the rail service from Oklahoma City to here again, and maybe share some more or new news on that. So that will be exciting, and I'm gonna try to join it as well. So
Yeah, I'd like to have it.
okay, yep, I'll email it to you. That's it.
All right. Just want to remind everybody, Thursday night, Hometown Christmas, right here in Central Park. Did you do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That it?
And this is the last meeting for this year, so Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Oh yeah. Same.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, staff. I think we had a great year. It was awesome. And I just enjoy working with each and every one of you and appreciate all you guys and what you guys do for the city. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Let's go 2025.
Everything that they said. That's all I got.
You're such a boss.
Ditto. It is really crazy. I mean, Mr. Mayor, and I mean, all of us that kind of came on board as well. Mike's been on here the longest, but he's the old guy now. But it's crazy that this is our
I feel like it.
what fifth Christmas, I think, or fourth. I can't do the math. On city council, I just want to thank the staff for everything they do. It's been a wild ride between COVID and everything else that's been going on. Tornadoes, COVID, new projects. Les hasn't been doing anything, so nothing's going on. But he's been slacking. But just want to thank everybody. Thank all the citizens of Andover letting us be able to do this. And I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Merry New Year. So that's all I got.
I'll tell you what, I said it last night in workshop, but I'll say it again, that this governing body is about as frugal as a governing body gets. They think about the pennies and the cents and all that stuff, and city staff does the same thing. So Andover's very blessed to have, not the mayor, by the way. I don't do none of that adding and subtracting, but the city council members do, and and we don't always agree on everything, but we get it done. I'm lucky to be a small part of it. And I just thank all of you sincerely. All right. Anyone, does staff have anything I'd like to say?
JT? Mr.
All right.
Mayor,
Mhm.
I move to adjourn.
Second, O'Katys.
All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Happy New Year.